Welcome to the Flawed, Foolish and Fantastic podcast.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. I just want to say welcome to the Flawed and Foolish and Fantastic podcast. Today you are the fantastic. Flawed and Foolish are sat here. And we're here to speak to you about fantastic work you've done both within education, Seva that you're doing. And my personal intrigue is the stuff that you do with your books, reading your books and your posts that you put up. And just, first of all, thank you for inviting us around. Thanks for filling us up with Aloo Paratha as well. Thank your mum for that and your wife for that. I really appreciate that. Like I said, the flow of this is wherever you want to take it. I've got a set number of questions, however you want to go, wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. With regards to the questions, I'm going to quickly start up, but the first question is always an open one, however you want to answer it. But for the podcast itself, please can you introduce yourself? Who is Mandeep Singh?
Yeah, sure. First of all, massive thanks for having me. Thanks for making the trip over. So my name is Mandeep Singh. I'm from Birmingham. I'm currently 26. So I guess it's quite a deep question. Who's Mandeep Singh? Yeah. I guess the simplest answer that I'd like it to be is probably someone who's trying to better themselves and trying to better people around them as well. Yeah. Both from a worldly sense and a Sikhi sense.
That's great, Singh. Well, with regards to, worldly sense, I can see the maths board at the back, which has, I think, blown up both our brains out already. Before I go into all of that, what is it you teach? I know you teach maths, but is it GCSE level or A level?
Yeah, so I'm at secondary school. So right from year 7 up until year 13. So at school, because it's an independent school, an international school, we don't teach A level, we teach the IB, which is the International Baccalaureate. So it's the equivalent, and then GCSE, so your standard stuff, all age ranges.
Stress, man. Maths was fine when I was at GCSE, and then when I got into maths and pure and statistics, I was like, I can't do this. I gave up. So no, we'll come on to just with regards to yourself. Obviously, you've talked about bettering yourselves, whether in Sikhi and schooling. Everything starts off with a foundation. Can we just delve into your family background and your childhood and what that was like growing up?
Sure thing. Yeah. So I grew up in a standard Punjabi, I guess, Jat Punjabi family, if that gives a bit more context if you want. So I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. Grew up in a fairly Punjabi household, going to the Gurdwara quite regularly. My mum always did quite a bit of Bart. We were always Seva orientated, so whenever there'd be a counterpart, a family member, we'd always go and help. But that would kind of be the extent of it. Other than that, standard wedding parties, meet sharab is a standard thing from our house and the cousins. And I grew up in that kind of culture. So standard Punjabi growing up, I guess, in Birmingham, UK in those times. And then as time progressed, things really started to change, I guess, if you like, when I was in secondary school. And the moment that probably that slapped me in the face a little bit, actually, was the whole I Pledge Orange for Rajona. Which I think was 2011, 10, something like that.
I'm trying to think. It was probably back then. 2010 it was,
something around that time. And I remember what happened was we all wore, it was a non-uniform day at school, and we all wore, the hero kanda hoodies you get with the armbands and stuff. We all walked in. And I was quite a Siana student in that sense. I was on good terms with the teachers. And the principal, who wasn't a Sikh, he called an assembly because all these Apne and the school had about 60% Apne in there. We were all wearing orange, and it was kind of like a rebellious thing, and they wanted to understand, first of all, what's going on. And when the assembly was called, he asked me to present to everyone why we're doing this, and I didn't have a clue myself. I was like, yo, it looks sick, we'll get a good photo.
So how old were you then?
I was in year 10, so I was about 14, 15. And then I was put on the spot, and luckily another guy knew, and he just took the assembly. But then I felt a bit of sharam. I was like, I'm representing this. I have no idea what it is. So I started researching about Rajwana, and then funnily enough, Rajwana TV came up.
I was about to say that,
So I started watching his videos on Punjab, and that led me to other videos on like Khalistan discussion, and then Chorasi was a big thing. And I just slowly started drip feeding things. At that point, the NSOIF videos, they did a series on the origins of Khalistan. That was big. Rajwana TV, Sarabjit Singh's, his podcast has really, really woke me up as to what's happening.
His videos are the best. Huh?
They're wicked. And he's a family friend as well, which is really interesting. I was like, I didn't know he did this. I see him all the time at random functions. It's like, this guy has like a lot of gyan in it.
Massive, isn't it? When you first see him, when I used to see him on Sikh Channel, or those things, you're like, who the hell is this? And then when he starts talking, you're like, Holy cow, he knows so much about
He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And when you hear the facts and figures, it makes a lot of sense in terms of the rhetorics we're told or the random pictures you might see at Gurdwara. It all starts to come together. And that's what started happening over those 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And then I guess the next changing point, it was quite interesting how it all happened. I guess how I actually came into Sikhi properly. Yeah. So our local Gurdwara is Sahur Gurdwara in Birmingham, which a lot of you will know from the Nishkam Jatha, I guess. Yeah. And I just finished my GCSEs. I did fairly well, and I applied for a lot of grammar schools as for sixth form. But I got rejected from all of them, and I was really confused because I got better grades than other people that had got accepted. I thought, "Child, is what it is." At that point, we'd started drinking, like doing a bit of weed, all that kind of stuff, house partying. So I had a really good group of friends at school, and I said to my mum, "Right, I'm just gonna stay here for sixth form, stay with my friends. Life's good." Blah blah blah. Mum's like, "That's fine." We went to Sahur Gurdwara one day on a Sunday, and they were just opening a Nishkam school, which is in Hockley now, and they have a primary or secondary. And it was the first year for intake for the secondary, and they had a stall outside, and my mum signed me up without telling me, like chori. And then we got home about a week before school was about to start. She told me, and I was like, "Forget that! I'm not going to a Sikhi school.
Exactly.
I'm chilling with my friends, right?" I go, "We got stuff planned for the year," so I was like, "Sack that." And then she made a deal with me. She gave me an ultimatum. Because Nishkam High School was going to open a week before my normal school. She goes, "Try it out. If you don't like it, for a week. If you don't like it, that's fine." I was like, "All right, there's no harm in that." And I went there, and I don't know how to explain it, but it just felt really right. And without me even thinking about it, I ended up staying there. And if I put myself back in those shoes, I don't know why, I just did. There's no reason for it. I just stayed there. Then
this is for your A-level education?
It's my A-level,
So you've hit 16. You're going to go boozing and chilling with friends, which is what everybody does at that age. So right, I didn't realise. So you went for your A-levels there, so you couldn't get in anywhere
So we
else.
were literally the first year in, so it was us as year 12 and year 7s. That's all that was in the school. So it was like a playground. It was wicked. And we were basically like private tutoring for us because there was hardly any kids. And then what happened was there was a thing. I'm sure you won't mind mentioning his name, Man Singh. You probably know Man Singh from Albury. He was a teacher there.
Man Singh is in Harvey's brother.
Yeah.
Me and Harvey, we were going to see college together. So Man Singh was a little kid who taught me to say, you go to him, "Are you all right?" And he's like, "No, I'm half left," and that stuck with me forever. So he does a Sikh Histories podcast.
That's the one, the Sikh History podcast. So he was a teacher there at that point. At this point, I didn't get my case or anything. But just rewinding a little bit, I think from year 8 or 9, my mum always made me read Japji Sahib in the morning. And it would be at the point where I did it very ritualistically. But I felt like something was wrong if I didn't do it. So it'd be the point where I'd do my Japji Sahib, come down and have a sausage and bacon sani. Like that was my life.
But it was routine,
It was routine. And I carried that on, not really knowing what it meant. And then when I went to Nishkam, Man Singh was doing this extracurricular Gurmat class where he taught people about Sikhi. And I remember the thing that really stuck out for me was 1984. And he also made us memorize at Adas as well, which was really interesting. And speaking to him and other Singhs and Sioniya and I guess Gursikhs, and I just found Sangat at Nishkam High School. And then a year in, I kept my Guru Sahib Kirpa, I was blessed to keep my case. And because the school was veggie, it helped transition from meat and stuff. And then what happened with regards to the friends is because I'd left the school and I'd stopped the clubbing and stuff. There's a really interesting story about clubbing, actually. I'll tell you about that in a second as well. A group of 15, if you like, reduced to 3. And what was really interesting was I would normally organise and do the logistics for the house parties, like whose house is going to be, who we're inviting, who's getting the booze, all this kind of stuff. So because I was put out of the equation, a lot of people didn't really, had no need to get in touch with me. I'm not sour about it. We went different ways. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
That's
cool.
That's life, isn't it?
That's life, and that's fine. That's fine. And then I found out, and then I kept my case at the end of year 12, and then started growing my case. Very bad to start for a long time. But and then things just kind of grew from there. And he started, and a lot of things in the UK started the first edition of the Sikh Youth Forum. Which himself, Vikram Singh, and they started in 5 cities. Do you remember the one they started in Leicester as well? There's that whole big announcement about it. But it was basically a forum every Friday at Baba San Gurdwara, and us and a few other students from Nishkam would go, and it was just basically Vichar and Sangat, and that kind of just set me off on that trajectory, really.
Who, just in regards to the forum, who was running it at the time?
It was Mandeep Singh and Vikram Singh Handy.
Because Mandeep Singh's, they've still got a foothold in that Gurdwara, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's... Vikram Singh, Nahang Singh.
Yes. Yeah. It was them two, really. And then we started to I helped out my first Gurmat camp at Smithic Gurdwara. Yeah. And it just kind of got into the flow of things from there, really. That regular Sangat.
That was your positive influence to get in?
Huge influence.
No, so just before we get into that, obviously your Sikhi side, fine, I'm going to go into that. You've already touched upon your path into Sikhi along with positive influences. Tell me about what happened with your education then.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I did quite well at GCSE, and I'd say I was quite an inquisitive kid. And also, one of the things my mum told me, and my nana always said, is to never miss an opportunity, because you never know when it might be helpful in life.
Exactly.
I never met my nana, but that's one thing I'll always hold dear. So any opportunity at school I'd take, like young people's parliament, school council, any sports team, form captain, anything, I would do it. Like sometimes things you get laughed at by your friends, like, oh, why do you want to be part of school council? But then we got to go to the House of Parliament. I got to interview councillors, really interesting things. Yeah. So I'd say I was quite lucky. I was even in the Air Cadets as well with the RAF. Yeah. And I had some amazing experiences. And all these things in their own special niche ways gave me loads of different skills. Yeah. And I'd say that I'd like to think it made me quite well-rounded, and allowed me to interact with different parts of society, and also give me a broad-minded view on the world, which I'm really grateful for, and something that I'll try and task kids at school to do as much as possible. So GCSEs went well, and then for A-levels I did further maths, physics and chemistry, and they went well as well. And then it was at that point I came to a crossroads because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Yeah. And I had 3 pathways, if you like. So I had a degree offer from the Birmingham University for maths. Yeah. I'd been accepted to become a commercial pilot at Oxford Aviation Academy, which is really interesting. Yeah. And also I'd been given an apprenticeship by Rolls-Royce to work on plane engines. Okay. And they were going to pay me to work to go to Sheffield Uni for 5 years as well. So I was a bit of a crossroads. I didn't know what to do, and I had a lot on my plate. I had a lot of things in front of me.
So this is all before you. This is basically university.
This is 6 months.
So you're in UCAS. Yeah. Well, the UCAS stage. Yeah. And these are opportunities. What were you studying as A levels?
So maths, further maths, physics and chemistry.
Okay, well. It's like having Chemical Alley here, isn't it? They can do all sorts of dangerous things. And physics and maths go hand in hand.
Yes, they do. They go hand in hand. I love mechanics. So.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're studying pure mechanics, physics goes along with it anyway.
It works perfect. Yeah.
What did you want to do? Because normally you take A levels based on I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. Yeah. What did you want to do?
I didn't know. Okay. So I
just went for what you enjoyed.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. I thought I don't know what I want to do. Yeah. Teaching was always somewhere around the back, but it hadn't really fathomed yet. Yeah. So I just thought, what do I enjoy? I was always really good at maths and I enjoyed it. Yeah. So I just thought I'd just do maths. And there's further maths, I was like, I'd love to do that. Yeah. I tried computer science. They introduced binary numbers. I was like, I don't want.
I can do more than 1 and 0.
I was like, why 0, 1? I was like, I don't need this in my life. Yeah. Chemistry was okay, but it was headache, so I dropped chemistry. And then physics, I was just very interested with. I listened to a lot of Professor Brian Cox. Okay, yeah. And his BBC documentaries, and I loved all that stuff. Yeah. And I thought that's what physics was going to be like. Yeah. Obviously, it wasn't. A lot of it wasn't. A few things.
All quantum mechanics.
Yeah, I thought it was literally. But it was cool, and it wasn't too bad, so I enjoyed it. Yeah. So I went with things I was strong with. Yeah. Knowing that I don't know what I want to do, but also I knew tactically maths opens a hell of a lot of doors. Yes. So there'll be something for me to do at some point.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting because the majority of people, like myself, like others, you go, this is mentally the pathway that I want to go. I want to get to this job. Yep. So these are the courses you take. And then you end up taking up courses that you're like, I've got no interest in this shit. Yeah. And I've ended up doing it. Yeah. And you're like, it becomes a slog to study. It does. While if you study to do something you enjoy, my daughters enjoy art. So I just said, well, do your art degrees and do all that. And for them, it's a doddle. Yeah, because they enjoy what they do. Yeah, they're not looking at the career path. They're just like, I want to do what I enjoy, and then from there find a job where I also have that enjoyment.
One of the biggest aims of our school at the moment is to get students out of the mindset that whatever they choose for their A levels or IB choices will dictate what they have to do in life. Yeah, it's literally what you said. Our school has such a huge focus on getting them to do stuff they enjoy, and because mum and dad are doctors or surgeons, you don't have to do that. And I think that's really important because the world changes and life changes. And my philosophy is that if you do something you enjoy, you will either find a job that accommodates it, or you will make something that will accommodate it if you're truly passionate and good enough at it. No matter what that is in life. And you see new jobs, careers being created left, right and centre. The pandemic has shown all these wonderful things you can do that no one ever thought even possible, right? So I think that's really important for anyone listening as well. Do what you enjoy, and have a bit of context to it, but it shouldn't be fully context.
No, well, it's interesting because we talked to you today, and I'm hoping we're going to talk to Taryn today as well. One of his posts that really got me was, he put out a post a couple of years ago about people getting GCSEs. And he's like, those people who are getting their GCSEs, if you don't get a good result, don't be disheartened by it. Because he went, I dropped out of school at 15. I went construction, and then I'm just looking at him going, and I remember reading that post and said to my kids, don't worry, whatever happens, happens. We don't ever panic about your education, but do something you enjoy. And that's it, and I think that's really big. So you had these choices: degree, school, commercial pilot, apprenticeship in Rolls-Royce. What made your decision?
So the commercial pilot, I really enjoyed just planes, and the thought of being a pilot is obviously really cool, right? But I think the lifestyle didn't quite match up. I think I'm quite a homely person, a community knit person, and I realised it would have probably been a lot of bunga, a lot of headache.
Your Sangat's not there. The Sangat's a different Sangat altogether.
Exactly, right? Your Sangat's airports or hotels or whatever. Right? So that kind of, I explored it. I enjoyed exploring it. And then I put that to one side. The apprenticeship with Rolls-Royce, again, I didn't really want to, as lazy as this sounds, I didn't want to commute to Derby every day. Because I was 16 at the time, right? And
it's a shithole.
And I'm glad you said that. And obviously the luxuries of Birmingham. The beauty of Birmingham. So that kind of fizzled out. But again, I had a lot of pressure, even from my older brother. I remember he goes, "You're an idiot if you don't take this. Because someone's willing to pay you for uni, and you'll get a job at Rolls-Royce."
My friend's at Rolls-Royce, and he's on 6 figures, and he's on 8 trips abroad a day. He's a director there, and I'm just like, he got 8. He got all of his A levels, got all A's in everything. And remember, we were at first year, and you get your A level results, and you're like, that's 5 points, that's 5 points, that's 5 points. You get 10 points total if you get A star or whatever on A. And everybody's applying to go, right, I'll be a doctor here, I'll do medicine here. And we all applied for medicine, things like that. And he rocks up. He's got 20 points already in the first year because he's done 4 AS levels. He's got 4 AS. And then we're like, right, we're all doing this. And he's like, I've applied for my course at Nottingham Trent. I'm going to do business studies. It's only 8 points I've already got in. We looked at him and went, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is where all the money... He's like, nah, I enjoy this. He's like, I want to do business studies. When I did that, got his degree. He's been at Rolls-Royce since, 2002. He's a director there. He's like 16 trips a year.
That's mad.
Yeah, it's just like... And that's what he said. He's like, but you're like... He's never at home. You would never have been at home.
So it's a weird one. And I guess you never truly know what you get into until you're in the midst of it, right? And then, what's the other thing? So and then with regards to... It was interesting because the day... I had to get back to Rolls-Royce. I was really, a lot of Dubda, very confused. And I'd applied for 2 courses at uni, maths and physics, joint honours, and just maths. I didn't get the maths and physics one because I didn't get the grades. And then I was still waiting for the maths offer to come through. The day I was meant to reply to Rolls-Royce, I got that offer through. And I took it as a bit of a sign. And also my teacher... shout out Mr. Cockgreave. He probably won't ever listen to this, which I was like, great man.
You'll find him on Facebook and send it to him.
Great man. He was like a counsel for me for everything. And he was my maths and maths teacher. And he literally put it on a whiteboard and he goes, right, let's weigh up the pros and cons of everything. And when I put it on...
That's wicked, with yourself?
Because I was like, sir, I don't know what to do. And he was like... He really assured me, he goes, whatever you do, you'll be good at it, so don't worry. Which was really nice to hear at that point. And he goes, all right, let's draw it up. So we put it on the whiteboard. Rolls-Royce maths degree, and then when I saw it visually, I was like, "It's this one," and then I went for it.
Chuck it on the board.
Yeah, so I still got my whiteboard here.
But that's it. But that's what we did. Like I said, we did a podcast with Mandeep Singh, which is probably coming out in the next couple of weeks. But the influence that his teachers had on how his life turned out was massive. And it just shows if you have a good, positive role model.
100%.
Mate, I was an idiot, right? I was at college, I was messing around all the time. Well, I got Bullies of the Year title for the year when we left. It was horrendous, yeah. It was the best 2 years of my life, but for others it was obviously not good. And then I went to uni and dropped out, and I was just like, I don't like uni. But my college teacher was awesome.
Yeah.
She's awesome to the point that she's one of my Facebook friends now.
Brilliant.
We're on each other's posts. We talk to each other all the time. She did the interview for my daughter when she went to college. So I got there and I was like, oh my God, it's my old tutor. We just took her ages. And I said to her, I want to join the police. And she's like, you were the worst student I ever had in my life. And she was just like, you were absolutely, she had called my mum in a number of times. She did all sorts. But she was so good. She's like, but I can see what you can do. And her reference was great. She got me the job. And it's just massive what those teachers at that age can have an impact on your life doing.
Yeah. And I think also going a step further as well, I think that's why it's important for people or anyone's age actually to make sure that we have a foothold in local Gurdwara and Sangats, because the same way great teachers affect us in an academic sense or in a worldly sense at school, if we've got Sikhi role models, and I've been a byproduct of that at the forums and stuff, this random Mona kid who just, with Guru Sahib's Kirpa and the Sangat's Kirpa has got to where he has now. In the same way, kids need that love and attention from a Sikhi Torte as well. And that's huge. But
that is huge. Every single podcast we talk to, Kamalpreet Singh, in Wolves, he goes, I was a drinker, I was this, I was that, and then I came into this. How many of us have been influenced? For me, I was 13 years old when I first saw Roop Singh do a talk, and I was like, I don't know about any of this.
Roop Singh, the one that went deal on audio?
The one that's...
That one, right?
Which one is it?
Yeah, Singh's dad, he comes to bus camp.
Singh's dad. Yeah. So, he's 13 years old, and it's 1993, and this man's talking with like an accent from up north. Like, what the fuck is this? And then all of a sudden he's telling you stuff that you're like, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about these. I didn't know about these sorts of things. And positive role models were very few that could speak in an English medium to kids of, born in this generation going, I can't understand Punjabi totally.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the Prodigy outside of work and whatever.
Prodigy.
And that's where my head is at the moment. And then somebody comes in and he's like, and it's like you said, when Man Singh and people like that start the forums, it's massive.
Yeah, 100%.
So how did uni go for you then?
Uni was great. So uni was, and it's interesting. I know I mentioned, and just going back to that thing as well, like not getting into grammar school, but then going to Nishkam.
Yeah.
After you see like Guru Sahib has planted all these things. Yeah. Even uni, like the plate of things I had in front of me at uni, I got involved with like Boss and Bin Baji and Sukh.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Where's the Sikh
I got involved in Sikh society. So then that like elevated my Sangat another level.
Yes.
And we started doing programs like Amrit Villas and stuff at people's houses, the Gurdwara. And that just opened up a whole new dimension of realizing things I could get involved with, but then also finding like-minded people as well. So it's weird how Guru Sahib plants things that sometimes we don't understand, or we dismiss, or we get angry about. But you only realize after, this is why that happened. Yeah. In the same way with like the Japji Sahibs, I always believe that like that bank of Japji Sahibs was spent when I was like 16. Yeah. And they get all the blessings of the fall of that.
The fall was coming out.
It was like being stored, and it just went boom. Yeah. Because in those 2 years, like my life changed.
Well, that's what you say. That's what it's saying. You plant your seedling, and all of a sudden it just blooms, doesn't it? And that's why you see it bloom. But I think for anybody who does go to university, Sikh societies are massive.
Huge.
Sikh societies are massive. It can either push you away. Yeah. Or it can bring you close. Because some people come and go, I've a jar samosa, I've chilled out with a couple of people. How many of these are going to come to the Bhangra nights with me? And that's as far as it goes. With other people, it's just like, man, that talk was really good. I want to know a bit more. Or I've made friends within the Sangat here. Yeah. And then they carry that on. And, it is massive. I really do think there's a positives and negatives to it. But the positives outweigh the negatives.
100%. I think it's such untapped potential as well. Yeah. I think... it's a big jummewari actually. It's a big responsibility on those people leading it. Yeah. Because the impact you have on a lot of people that are at a crossroads in their life that may never get this interaction with Sikhi again is huge. Yeah. And obviously we've seen the successes of that. But also it's really important. I think one thing we were really, really important about and very hard on was being welcoming. Because as you said, it could be negative. I guess what you mentioned in terms of coming and have a samosa, that's still like, for me, if someone comes and interacts,
it's an introduction.
That's a positive, right? Yeah. Because even if that doesn't lead to anything, whatever. But I guess the negative is that you walk into a room, there's 6 scary Amritari looking people, and no one offers you a smile.
Yeah.
And that's your interaction with Sikhi thinking. These people.
How many times did you invite Nick down? That's what it sounds like. This is going straight out to Nick.
No comment. We didn't have him actually, to be honest. But that, and we've seen the opposite side of that.
Yeah.
Someone very timid comes in, doesn't know what to expect, has probably taken a huge leap to even come when they could go home or whatever, go to the play pool.
Yeah.
And then they offered, and that just a smile, just saying, how's it going? Like, nice to meet you. They realize there's a connection. There's someone nice that they'll probably meet next time.
Exactly.
And that could be the start of their Sikhi journey. Now, obviously, it's all in Guru Sahib's hands.
Of course.
But Guru Sahib has put us as custodians, right, to put an effort in. So I think for anyone that is involved in a Sikh society, we made a rule at a Sikh society that the committee is not allowed to speak to each other whilst it's happening.
Okay.
We're not allowed to speak to each other unless it's like practical or logistical. Otherwise, we have to mix.
Yeah.
And we found that works so well. And we still do that in Seva circles at camps and stuff now. It's strict, no circle policy, basically.
Yeah. So that's really good, because otherwise I think there's a click over there.
Yeah, 100%.
And it gets rid of the click straight away.
100%.
And it gives the attention to those people who need to.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. No, like I said, with Charles also, it's great to get people in.
Yeah.
But we had the effect where you'd get people coming in and going, "Where's the challenge Samosi?" Like, we ain't got it this week. Right, I'm going now. And you're like, damn, that's all they were here for. Well, we need to bring that in. We need to do those sorts of things. And at time between us, we could barely put £3 together, because you're just like, I'll just play pool for an hour. I ain't got money for you, that sort of thing. But
we had some rich people in our committee, man. We were all right.
No, that's
Dad
good.
just paid for it.
But that's good. So my next question is, how did you get from your education to where you are today with your teaching job?
Yeah, so whilst I was at university, I was still exploring career paths.
Yeah.
And I nearly became an actuary.
Okay.
So if anyone doesn't know, an actuary does things like underwriting insurance policies, a lot of algorithms, but very high paying, very, very hard job, if you like.
Yeah.
And I even did 2 weeks of work experience on that, and I had a graduate roles lined up at Zurich in Birmingham. So it's a lot of money, company cars, all that kind of stuff. But again, just sitting at a desk 9 to 5, and it's going to be another 9 years of exams after uni.
Oh,
and
okay.
I was finished with exams. I had enough, and I didn't want to do any more exams. So in second year, I just put that idea to bed, and I thought, as glamorous as it sounds, at what cost are you making money, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it's really important to evaluate that as well. And at that point, Sangat has started evolving, and I realized that there's more to life.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need a job, you need to enjoy it, but that's not the sole purpose. Yeah. So then in my third year, I'd started tutoring at that time privately for maths GCSE, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed helping students, and I felt that I had a way of explaining things in which people related to and understood, which was really quite fulfilling, actually. And then my third year for my dissertation, instead of doing a normal maths dissertation, I did one on teaching maths. Okay. So I actually did a placement at a school that I really enjoyed.
Okay.
So that was about 6 weeks where I'd go in twice a week and teach an A-level class.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that.
Was there a specific part of maths that you were teaching, or was it everything?
It was just general like A-level stuff, yeah. So whatever the teacher's doing at that time, just jump in with it. So I really enjoyed that. And then after uni, whilst I was getting to the end of uni, I was like, I'm going to try this teaching thing out. So I found a provider, they were really good. And then I decided to take a gap year. So that's when I kind of thought I'm going to go for teaching. Yeah. But at that point, I just started my Santhya. I've been doing all right. I'd been doing my Santhya for 2-3 years. I started helping out at kids' camps. Yeah. Like just, your small talks or whatever it is, or helping with group leading, whatever that might be. I'd been to Boss Camp, Seek to Inspire Camp. Another way Maharaj works actually is Bhavi from Seek to Inspire. Yeah. He was my football coach. Okay. On Sunday League. Yeah. And I was more than like, on the way to a match, we stop at services, get a KFC, that kind of stuff, right? And he'd be like, "Night in my car." Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But he was actually the first one that introduced me to camps. Okay. And he sold it like the totally opposite to what it was. He was like, "You guys should come to this retreat. We're gonna do quad biking, canoeing." I was like, "Wicked! This sounds sick." Got there, my ankles were black by the end of it. So I didn't say that so much. I was like, "You lied, man." But that was my first exposure to a camp. Yeah. And then I was in year 9, 10. So that was a big impact as well. Yeah. So again, from that, I started going to more camps, Boss Camp, Seek to Inspire Camp, and then the basics camp started happening. I was listening to Jagraj Singh, Baljit Singh, those guys at this time who were huge, right? Yeah. So everything came together. So then in the last year of uni, I was gonna either train to become a teacher and then go to India,
Yeah.
or go to India first and then train.
Yeah.
My advisor said, no, go to India first, take a gap year, because otherwise you'll break that continuation.
Yeah.
So my Santhya Ustad, Gyani Baldeep Singh,
Oh, yeah.
he's local,
Yeah.
a lot of people know. He put me in touch with Jogiwal,
Okay,
Baba Baldev Singh,
Yeah.
and Gyani Satnam Singh, as known as Mamadi. So I went to Jogiwal for a bit and stayed there for a few months. Did some Santhya.
What year was this?
So I flew out the day after I graduated, so that was 2017.
Okay.
And I was there for about 4 or 5 months
Yeah.
in my gap year, and that was an amazing experience as well. And then after coming back, the basics of Sikhi Pracharak School or Vidyala had been going.
Just like,
So for the last 4 months or 5 months of my gap year, I did that.
yeah.
So that year was like a Sikhi year for me, basically.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went into teaching. I trained at a local grammar school.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of went up from there.
Okay, so right, I've got a couple of things to explore there. If the first camp was so wrong in the way that it was described in such a manner, it's like it reminds me of what you just said. When you start off, have you ever been Himkund?
No, I haven't.
Right, okay. So you get to Rishikesh, and from there you start at Govind Ghat to Govind Dham, and then from there, so Govind Ghat to Govind Dham. I didn't know how long it was. I was 16 years old.
So did I.
You're just like, done like a mile, done like another mile, nearly slipped a couple of times. And then you ask something like, up and near Nalia. Liars, man.
Punjabi.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just to keep your hope going, innit?
Yeah.
It's like Nalia. So me and my cousin were like, wicked, it's only around the corner. Let's run it. And you run and you're like, oh, I'm knackered. We're nowhere near. And then you ask the next one, Nalia, they'll give you a bit of glucose to keep going. And you're like, ended up being 14 miles. They lied to me, yeah? And I was like, they were telling me Nalia from the start. So after that, I realised I'm going to do my own research before I do these things. It's one of those. So for me, I was like, I don't trust anybody else after that.
Lost all trust in upbringing.
So how did you go from going, Bobby told me all this, and it ended up being this. So why do I want to go to another one? What was it that...
Yeah, I painted the picture wrong on that. So obviously there was the fun stuff.
Yeah,
it wasn't as glamorous.
I know.
But interactions, it's like just seeing like a lot of things. Like, this is what you guys do, right?
Yeah.
And realizing that you can have fun and have a laugh.
Exactly.
I remember, so I went in the mindset of it being a camp, like an RAF camp,
Yeah.
where we like prank people and stuff, right? So there was this Buzurg man, I'm sorry for who this was. He's from Smedik, I still see him actually, and he would just sleep all the time. And I took two of my cousins with me, and we took like silly string, Colgate, like ready to just terrorize people, right? And obviously we realized this wasn't the kind of camp it was. But this was he would never go to the activities in the day.
Yeah.
And one day I was sutta paya and his pair was at the kambal. So we painted his toenails black. And he walked into the davar, and everyone was just wetting themselves. And after that I realized that, you know what, that was just probably us taking it too far, but they have fun as well.
Yeah, exactly.
They have a laugh. It's not boring, right?
Yeah.
Which is the rhetoric you hear.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that had a big impact on my psyche.
Yeah.
And then obviously the talks. I remember Kamalpreet Singh.
Yeah.
I remember Gyani Sukraj Singh. They stood out to me a lot. I remember seeing Harpal Singh, the twins from London, East London.
No, I don't know.
Seva of Big Walma. But anyways, I remember seeing him, and he's good friends now.
Oh, I know who you're on about that.
Yeah,
yes, I do know him. Yep.
I remember seeing him and just being exposed to it, and it made it a bit more comfortable.
Okay.
That I didn't make a change directly after that.
Yeah, I know, but it had an impact, didn't it?
And I remember speaking to one of the organisers on the way back, me just being that kind of annoying kid. I just asked him, I was like, how hard was it to organise? And they're saying, I can't remember who it was, I don't remember. And he was quite a young thing. He goes, it took this many months to organise, took this much money. I was like, oh, that's crazy. And he goes, you know what though? He goes, even if you took one thing away from the camp,
it's worth it.
It's all worth it.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was like...
Kamalpreet Singh used to say exactly the same.
He might have been him.
No, he used to say exactly the same when in the late 90s and early 2000s you set up something you do on it, and he said if it's just one person who takes something away from this, one person who takes onward after 2,000 people have been through something, he goes, it's well worth it. He goes the value is just you can't compare.
Karen Soka, like when you're organising something and the numbers don't turn up, it's heartbreaking.
Of course it is.
But when he said that, I was like, whoa, like these guys value Sikhi that much.
Yeah.
That they're willing to do all this, even if one person learns one Sakhi.
Yeah.
I was like, that stuck with me as well.
Nice, wicked. And then you said you'd been to a load of other camps as well following, which I'll get to later. Obviously, you've talked about coming back after 2017. You've had a year of Sikhi, and then you've gone into your occupation.
Yeah.
Where is that? Where is it that you currently, or where is it that you started work then?
So I worked at a grammar school, which is local, called King Edward's in Aston, which is quite a good grammar school, respectively. That was an interesting training year. Lots of ups and downs. Started very, very positive.
Okay.
Was like doing really well teaching. Like, had a natural flair for it, if you like. Getting on well with the kids because I was quite young. And I was brown as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Hit it off with them, and then it got to quite a stressful point actually, where there was been a lot. My trainer, she's a lovely woman, and I still stay in touch with her today. But for some reason, the environment got quite toxic.
Okay.
And I don't think she realised it as well. So I don't blame her for it at all. But there was a lot of pressure, and I don't know where that I felt the pressure just evolving. And I've never felt pressure like it in my life. Like normally, anything I've done in my life, I've been successful at.
Yeah.
And I was getting very, very anxious, very, very stressed to the point where I actually broke down. But to be honest, other than my wife, you probably
happens.
Yeah, first people I'm talking to about this. To the point where I started crying in the classroom because I was teaching an A-level class that I'd taught for 4 months already. I knew them all.
Yeah.
But something just overcame me. And at that point, I just broke down. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why this isn't working. And I think it was just the pressure of not living up to her expectations and my own.
Yeah.
And after that, I said to my trainer, I'm quitting. Like, I'm done. I'm leaving teaching.
Yeah.
Fast forward about 2 months before that, what happened was, so the school I'm currently at, King Edward's, which is a boys' school, so it's grammar, but it's independent.
Yeah.
It's like very fancy, very nice place to work. And I went for the interview there, and I thought, Charlie, it'll be a nice experience. I'll get to visit the school, and it'll be a good experience. I had no idea that I'd actually have a run-in for it. Got the interview, had a really good interview, had a really good lesson, spoke about Sikhi a lot. They have an RAF section in the school, so that they heard that I was a cadet, their eyes lit up. All the stars aligned, basically.
Yeah.
So went home, didn't think anything of it. Got a phone call that night saying I've got the job. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The week before, I tried for a job at where I was training, and I came second.
Okay. Yep.
But what they said to me was that if anyone resigns, we'll give you a job, no interview.
Okay.
So I'd just been rejected from where I was training, which was really heartbreaking. I just got this new job.
Yep.
The day after I'd been given the job at the private school, I went back and someone handed their letter in, a resignation. So they come over to me, oh, Mandeep, congratulations, you got the job here. And I'm like, oh, no, man, I'm all right, like, I've got a job elsewhere. Yeah. And then they were like, no, like, they were shocked, and I was a bit shocked as well. And I was like, look at the timing of all this, And then it got to the point where they even took me into office and they said, like, you haven't signed the paperwork yet, like, you can still work here. Yeah. And I was like, look, man, they got a pool and a gym, mate. I was like,
exactly.
I'm going, right?
Yeah, well, you got to look at what's right for you.
Yeah, and I thought a change is always nice. And for anyone that's trained, you'll know it's nice to start your career in a different role from where you've trained.
Yes.
And then when I look back at that whole palaver, when I didn't get the job where I was training, I was really like heartbroken. I thought, like, I was doubting myself. All these kind of things, things came in. But then, Charlie, the timing of it worked perfectly. Fast forward to when I like broke down. Yeah. Luckily, because I'd been accepted at the private school, my trainer had organised for me to start there early and finish my training year there. Yeah. So then I stopped where I was training because I just finished. I took like 2 weeks off, and then I started fresh after Easter in 2018 at the school I'm at now, where I'm currently working. And even that, like, it's just Maharaj's Kirpa. So what happened, the first day I started, Mandeep Singh, who works for Basics, he emailed me because I'd been doing talks.
I need to phone him. He keeps saying you need to phone me.
He emailed me saying, oh, there's a school by you that want an assembly from a Pracharak.
Okay.
Can you do it? And I looked at the school, and it was a school I started working at.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is crazy. I just literally started working here today. Yeah. And I was like, who is it? He goes, some sixth form students asked for it. So I found the student, I went up to him, and he's like, oh, you're like Mandeep Singh. I was like, oh yeah, you got an email, I can do the talk, I'll work here now. He's like, oh, you got a job here. And then that conversation, he goes, sir, can we start a Sikh society?
Okay.
And I'm like, just, my head's blowing. I'm like, what is going on? Like, so many things are coming into perspective. And literally from then we started a Sikh society in the school. I thought, I'll get into the school, like, pally up with everyone, then we'll start a Sikh society later. Yeah. It's first day. And that's saying his name's Samraj, if you're listening. He's at Oxford now. Very, very interested in Sikhi. Does a lot of research on Puratan Granths, Itihas, Dasam Granths. He's a 16-year-old kid, right?
That's wicked.
He can read Sanskrit, Farsi, all these crazy things.
Yeah.
And we started the Sikh Society there. So that happens every Thursday now. So we have Vichar. We talk about Itihas. We talk about philosophy. We talk about Sikhi. So every Thursday, a group of kids from school, mainly Sikh kids, come to my classroom and we'll have like a PowerPoint presentation, or one of them will lead it.
That's wicked.
And that's led to things like we even have a Gurmani Santya class on Mondays in school, where a few of them are on Japji Sahib now. 2 kids have kept their case as our Guru Kirpa. We had a langar in the school for Guru Nanak Dev Ji's 550 Gurpurb, which is amazing. So it's just mind-blowing. And then you realise after all that, there's a reason why I didn't get the job. And then that came up. The timing of it, it's unreal. It's unreal.
Well, my next question was going to be what's the symbiosis with Sikhi and your occupation? But obviously at this place it sounds really good.
It's amazing, and the teachers are given a lot of autonomy. They're trusted.
Okay.
So
is this because it's not government led?
No, it still is. It's governed by an independent governing body, which is government led. I forgot what they're called now. Whatever they are. Yeah. But generally, because of the nature of the school, because the teachers and the students are very mature as well, so we don't get the normal problems schools will have, right? There's no bad behavior. There's hardly any fights. Kids are very intellectual. These kids go on to Oxbridge. These kids are going to MIT. These kids are going to Harvard, right?
Yeah.
So
no demand for university. What's going on?
there's not many, unfortunately. So the kids are very inquisitive.
Yeah.
So that we already have societies every Thursday.
Yeah.
There's an extended lunch where there's so many societies. We have a Sikh society, there's religious societies, there's a history society, politics society, philosophy society, dentistry society. It's like a little uni campus basically.
Yeah.
And the school, if a teacher has an idea, they'll be like, right, what do we need to help you facilitate it? And that's it, you go off and do it. And that's why I love working there as well. And that's how the Sikh society is run.
Okay.
And we have a girls' school opposite. And the girls' schools just started the Sikh society as well. So there's so many amazing things happening.
Do you have an involvement within not obviously within the school itself, but within your PowerPoints and things like that, sharing them?
Yeah, so the girls actually, from the girls' school, they actually come along now. And we do a few collabs every now and again.
That's fun.
So they've just started things up themselves. There's a teacher in there who she's Apani, she helps run it. And we're just kind of sharing resources and doing things collaboratively every now and again.
Yeah, because you've done it before, so those things that you found tricky starting, whatever, you can pass those ideas over and help their foundation. That's really, the Santya classes, the Sikh society that you got running, do they run within school hours or after hours, or how does that work? In school
so
hours?
In lunchtimes. So Monday lunchtime and Thursday lunchtime.
That's really good. And what do you cover? What sort of topics have you been... Does the school have any control over the topics that you talk about?
No. So it's completely
So
open.
they've allowed you to...
So not basically...
You've got complete autonomy on what you want to teach them.
Yeah, so they trust the teachers enough not to talk about crazy things, right?
Exactly. You're not going to radicalise kids and do this and that. Because that's normally schools' concerns with regards to what is being taught to the students who can be influenced by any ideals.
100%.
Especially with safeguarding today.
And it's really important. And I've been at Sikh schools before where it's quite interesting. I've been at Sikh schools before as a non-teacher. I've gone to do a talk and there's people in the back taking notes on what I'm doing, right? So the topics we talk about are general itihas. So I'll try and do whatever is relevant. So we did 1984, we'll do Guru Arjan Dev Ji Shahidi now. But then I'll try, as time has progressed, I realised the kids need more.
Of course, yeah.
So I'll try to talk about things that are impacting them.
Yeah.
How do you go about someone pulling your case? How do you go about relationships? What do you do if you start getting feelings? Yeah. What do you do about porn and all these things?
Exactly.
And first they're all giggly and stuff, but they really appreciate it because they're just getting into it. And I'd like to think, because I'm still quite young, and also
you're not too far removed from their age.
And also I've been from the part where before Sikhi I was exposed to that lifestyle, and I dabbled in it a little bit myself, whatever it is, right? So they really appreciate it. And even though they might not say anything, someone will come back to me a year later to say, you know what you said then, I saw it happen and I was in it, and whatever Gurmat has told us really helped me navigate that situation. So I'm now tending towards, obviously the itihas and stuff is important, So I'll try and do like a bi-weekly thing. It'd be 1 week at the house and Gurmani.
Yeah.
Then it'd be like a modern topic. What should we do about interfaith marriages? All these kind of things.
Yeah.
Should we hate the British or not?
Yeah.
All these kind of things. And they really enjoy it. And they're clever kids as well, so it goes far.
Is it an open forum where they can go, can you tell us about this? And then you research and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. So I try and get feedback off them as much as possible.
Yeah.
So one kid wanted to know about like partition. So we did talk about partition. Because these things I touch upon in school history as well, right? Like they talk about Aurangzeb in a history module. So it's quite interesting. And we talk about the Mughals a lot. And then I try and get kids. So there's been a batch of kids that I've had from year 7. They're now in year 9.
Yeah.
And they're like my future leaders of the Sikh society. So I've got them to do talks on Vaisakhi. I've got them to lead assemblies and I'll script it with them beforehand.
Yeah.
So also it gives Sikhi a very good spotlight because they're seeing, oh, Mr. Singh isn't just taking these boys in a room and doing some random thing.
Yeah.
These boys are presenting at interfaith events. They're presenting school assemblies, which is not easy for a year 9 kid to do, right?
It's life skills, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're preparing them now.
Exactly. And also preparing them to talk about Sikhi in a digestible way, which is something that isn't accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle to explain Sikhi to non-Sikhs.
Yes.
So if these people are going to go, if these young Singhs are going to go into high professions, we want them with a good mindset to realize that Sikhi comes first, but also how to maneuver Sikhi within those spaces.
Well, it's the making Sikhi conducive to your daily lifestyle. So it's not, you have to put it in the background.
Yeah.
And you don't have to put your work in the background, but you can work. There is that symbiosis. They work together. You can always be a Sikh and do whatever you need to do.
Hanji.
It's that sort of thing. Do you have debates?
Yeah.
Do you have debate teams? Because I'm thinking of, I don't know what the name of the film is, but there's a film with who's Denzel Washington,
and he trains that debate team.
Yeah. What's the name of the film?
In like old America.
Yeah, old America. They go and he talks about Mahatma Gandhi and Jallianwala Bagh and things like that.
And when they face a lot of racism and stuff.
Exactly.
I forgot about that.
But you've just reminded me of that sort of teaching.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking that, do you prepare them for debates? Do you prepare them for going, give me the positive, give me the negative, speak about these things?
Yes.
Even though we have a Sikhi view, but there might be a view coming from the other side. How are we going to deal with that? And
yeah, I try my best to play devil's advocate.
And
so for 1984, I'll be like, well, actually, why did they have weapons? There shouldn't be guns in a Gurdwara.
Yeah.
And then they were like, now what should we say? And don't think about what you should say. Think about what it means to you.
Exactly.
And then someone was like, but sir, we have like Gurbans at the Gurdwara. Yeah. That was all their response was, but you realise they're finally getting it.
Exactly.
And also they're realising the kind of questions that are going to come at them. And then when we will have outright debates, like interfaith marriages, I will start with nothing. I'm like, right, should we do it or not?
Yeah.
And some kids will be like, yeah, I don't think it's not too bad. Some kids will be like, well, isn't it wrong? And they don't really know.
Yeah.
And it's just getting airing their whatever's in their head out, and then always bringing it back to Gurmat.
Yeah.
Taking my opinion out of it as well.
Yeah.
We can have opinions about what Guru Sahib's saying, but our opinions on themselves, that's not a Sikh society, that's an opinion society, right?
Of course.
So that's I know I've also hosted debates at Sikh societies as well, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like London universities have called me a few times. The main one is like clubbing, right?
Yeah.
Should we do clubbing? And should we date whilst we're kind of before marriage and stuff? And again, it's with uni students a bit more important because a lot of them have a lot of personal conflict.
Yeah.
So I always try to say, right, here's a Gurmani Pankti.
Yeah.
Like the one I always use is Variya Kajal Kotri Mohikal Pariya by Gurdas Ji's Bara. I'm like, what do you think this means? And what do you think it means like in terms of our own lives? I think if you just start off with, I think clubbing's okay because of this, to a certain point, and as harsh as it sounds, that's irrelevant what you think.
Yeah, exactly.
No one cares, right? Well, not no one cares, but
your view is an opinion, but it doesn't matter because what is already there.
If we talk about Bhagavad Vara, and you have an opinion of that, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we'll be here all day. So I think debates are good, but they need to be structured in the sense that whoever leaves by the end of it knows what Gurmat's perspective of it.
Yeah.
Even if they don't do it straight away, as long as they can respect what Gurmat says, that's for me. That's what needs to be achieved. Someone could leave and still go clubbing. But if they know in the back of their heads, this is what Guru Sahib's advising me.
Exactly.
Then you know what? I respect namaskar to you, that's fine.
And that's what it comes down to. You know, if you've got the grounding and you know the teachings,
Hanji.
If you want to go and commit that path, that's up to you.
That's
but you know what is right and wrong. It's when you look at Taoism and you have Mencius talking about, we all have an innate thing where we go, he gives a story. He says you see a child and a child is crawling towards an unmarked well and they're going to fall. It's innate behaviour that everybody would save that child. And then he goes on to talk, and him and Confucius talk about laws where you know what is right and wrong.
Yeah.
If you want to break what is right and wrong, that's up to you. But if you've got the education on what is right and wrong, then expect the feelings of guilt and things like that. And then don't do what Boris did and go, there were no parties. Well, there were parties. Be honest about it and be honest with yourself. Yeah, I've done that. I know what's right. I know what's wrong.
And also, you're better informed to make that decision.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yeah. So no, that's cool. I was going to say, have there been any conflicts within your Sikhian schooling? At this school, it sounds like you haven't been, but anywhere along the road, have you seen that?
Not really. I guess there's been a few, not really Qurban issues, but
that's an education issue, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was dealt with really, really well by the school. So I actually went, after a safeguarding thing, they talked about blades and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't know if people know I wear Qurban. So I went to our safeguarding lead. She was a wonderful lady. I was like, do you know that I wear Qurban? And she's like, oh yeah, I've heard about it. So I showed her it.
Yeah.
She's like, oh cool. I was like, I just want you to know, because some of the boys wear it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a case where a teacher sees it or a student sees it and they call the police, right?
Yeah.
So what we did was we got a form made, a declaration, so that the school knows about it, and I've promised that I'm not going to take it out on the playground, right? But then that structure is there for future generations, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think there's always logical and sensible ways to go about things.
No, I totally understand that. I joined the police, and the first thing I said was, I'm an authority and I won't have my cards compromised.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what does that entail? So I was like, here's my Qurban, here's my gear scissors. Said I'm not going to have right training, I'm not going to wear a hat, I'm not going to compromise my dastard in any way. And I want to be able to wear my Qurban. And they're like, yeah, you can do that. And where you're just like, yeah, you've just said that. You've just given me the job, offered me the job. It means nothing to me.
Yeah.
I said, I want it in writing.
Yeah.
So once I get it in writing, I'll tell you whether I take the job or not. But it's that, when they went, okay, we know what legislation says. It says, with regards to a sharply bladed article, you can carry a Qurban, a Scottish person can have it as regalia, you can have it as an instrument for your occupation, or you can have it as armed forces. So they're like, we know what that means, but what does a Qurban mean? It's just that education. And then after that, it was like, yeah, any Sikh in the job. As long as you don't wear it over your uniform, because if somebody takes it, and I was like, I never will. It will always be under my shirt. I've got a baton to kick the shit out of people. I don't need my Qurban to stab someone. And that's how it was. It was just that they need that education. Once they know,
Hanji.
and especially when you say, look, Gurbani states that it's an aggressive weapon, but we don't use it in aggression.
Yeah.
We won't be intimidated, but we don't intimidate.
Yep. Yeah.
We're not. We will be aggressive, but only if the other person is aggressive, and we cannot be defensive enough.
Sure.
And it's that sort of education. So I'm guessing it's the same in schools.
It is, and I think in life as well. What I've found is if you do it with pyar, generally in a loving way, and you're trying to educate someone, and 90% of people will be really perceptive to it, and they'll be really interested as well.
Yeah.
And there's normally something that can be accommodated. Obviously, there might be situations where, for whatever reason, you can't.
Yeah.
Then that's up to the individual to either compromise themselves or just say, right, Jal, this isn't for me, I'll do something else.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard of any case where it's got there.
Yeah. Any issues with the stars or anything in school?
No. It's been quite helpful being in the school, actually, because there's a few things that, school's big on sports, so rugby, gutti comes off, and they'll come running to me, and I'll quickly tie it up for them. But then you also teach them, Singh, you're in year 8, you're starting to learn Latin, but you can't do your own judo.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing, right? And I have got the parents as well a little bit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you, because I remember that. I remember the first time I was about in year 8 when you're at school and you're playing football, and then all of a sudden you go flying and your judo comes off, bodka comes off, and I'm like, I don't know how to do my own bodka properly. And then the next day it was like, I've learnt it now. But it's that sort of thing. It's just like, hang on, I can do everything else. I can get myself ready, I can get washed, do whatever. If I can do my own judo, put a mile on it. Whereas just can't do my bodka properly. So it's that sort of thing.
Hanji.
So no, that's great. That's great with conflicts, because I think you're lucky. You have in the city, you have loads of things.
Hanji, yeah.
I went to a time where schooling where you me, my cousin, my brother, a couple of us were at the same school, and you're like, 95% Gori, a couple of Kale.
Yeah.
They were less Muslim than us.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, we are so small in number where you don't really want to talk about Sikhi. It's just like, I don't want to upset
Just keep it to myself.
the carte blanche sort of thing, yeah. So if they do ask a question, why do you wear that? You're like, see that maths question? What's that? It's that sort of thing. You're just like, just do anything else.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing. No, that's great. I just want to quickly go back into your Sikhi stuff. You talked about, obviously, camps, learning from Mandeep Singh, starting the stuff at Sikh societies, going to the camps, and then going to India. What did you bring back from India with you mentally and, within your own personal arsenal?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate enough to spend some time at Tuksab.
Yeah.
And it just Gurbani Santya basically. So I'd done Panj Granthi here, Ladiwar with Gyani Mandeep Singh.
Yeah.
And then when I went there, they skipped me, so they didn't make me do Bhai Bara or Pagpani, which I'm doing now. I've gone back.
Yeah.
And they put me straight onto Maharaj Senchi. So whilst I was there, I got Pella Pag done, the first half of Guru Granth Sahib Santya. So that was quite an interesting experience for a few reasons. Like, it was very daunting. When my mum and dad did Benti and we did Benti to Baba Ji, Baba was like, Punjabi on the, I was like, Thori ji. My Punjabi is bad now, but it's really bad then. And they're like, I'll take you. And I wasn't given like a formal introduction. It was just like, I even asked the Gyani, like, what time shall I get up? He goes, Koi nahi, sonu pada lag jana. It's like all these little things, right? You're like, you have to fend for yourself.
Yeah.
No one tells you how to do things. But then, it's holy, the Singhs have a lot of pyar. And you learn, in terms of Rani Barni, stuff you can't read in a book.
Yeah.
Like, how do you wash your kashera? All these little things. How do you manja batta? I remember the first time I got in a batta, I was like, where's the ferry? Like, why is it sand?
Where's the sand? Why is this sawdust here? What's going on here?
I was so confused. And then the Gyani's like,
but it works.
It works, and you learn, like, I can clean my gutter with that.
Yeah.
So that and just living a simple lifestyle. It was in July as well, so it was hot.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate a lot of things. Like, I remember getting a fresh apple.
Yeah.
And it tasted like the best dessert I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And it makes you just appreciate things so much. But also it makes you appreciate like merit, like how much people put into Santya.
Effort, massive effort.
Like I thought, like, when I tell people I've been for 4 months, like, well, I'm like, that's nothing, man. Like I initially wanted to stay there for longer, but I couldn't hack it. I had to come back.
Yeah.
I thought, I've had enough now. When I got back, I was like, I've made a mistake, man. I should have stayed. But in terms of it helped level up my Punjabi.
Yeah.
I learned about a lot of pyar, like doing things. Like, there was a lot of Karni Wale Gursikhs. The one of the Singhs, Japnam Singh, he's my age, but he'd done his Santya by then, and he was teaching other people.
Yeah.
And I remember the first night I went there, they gave me my own room, so I was a bit of a VIP.
Yeah.
He came and knocked on my door and gave me a banana milkshake.
Yeah.
And he just gave me, but that meant so much.
Yeah.
Kind of like that non-click vibe that I talked about at Sikh societies. The fact he did that, and he was one of the most respected Singhs there. He just came and gave me a banana milkshake.
Just welcomed you in.
It meant so much to me.
Yeah.
And then going forward, just seeing a lot of him, actually, like, he would teach like Guru Sahib Santya to a lot of Singhs, but every day he'd go and clean all the toilets.
That's a nimrta, isn't it?
Proper nimrta, like, and there's a conversation, and these are things you only get like in India. So I remember one of my ustads, it was my last night there, and it was like late night in his room, we were just chilling.
Yeah.
And Japnam Singh, he was like, Chal soiye jaake swer nu bhi uthna.
Yeah.
And obviously the ustad, who's elder, one of the Gyani Singhs, he felt a bit embarrassed that Japnam Singh said that.
Yeah.
He's like, chup karke baya, kuch nahi hunda. He's like, why are you stressing about getting up for in the morning?
Yeah.
Japnam Singh is thinking about his Amritullah, right?
Yeah, of course he is.
And then he would chop it again, he didn't say anything. And I was like, ooh, like, feel a bit of attention.
Exactly.
Right? Like, and then when we left the room, he said something to me that stuck with me forever. He goes, Mandeep Singh, sare de vich gun ta avgun hunde hai. Jere gunne o chok ke la jo. Jere avgun o utthe chhad do.
Yeah.
And that's all he said. And I was like, obviously, that was my ustad as well.
Yeah.
But he made me realize that it doesn't matter who it is, everyone has their flaws.
Yeah.
Just leave them where they are. Take as much good as you can from everyone, and don't give too much attention to everyone else. That really stuck with me. So those kind of little snippets, and even just like I went with Mahapurakh to Pan Singh Prashada, like how you're meant to act, Hat Suchi Karneya, like doing a little ardas for the family. All those little things is gold dust, and has really helped me in terms of like how teaching Santhya classes here and teaching Sikhi classes here, because you can bring that and you can show them the pictures.
Yeah.
And it gives them a taste as well. So yeah, if anyone that's thinking about going to live in India, Guru Sahib will create a path. Don't worry. Like, I literally went there off a phone call, and it worked out. And it's crazy how that even happened. There's an interesting story about that. Like, for anyone that's worrying about, will I be okay?
Yeah.
So I spoke to a Singh, and it wasn't Satnam Singh, it was someone else, and he said, yeah, come. I won't mention his name, and you'll realise see a reason why. He goes, come, there's no problem. We'll do your Santhya and Jogiwal. I was like, wicked. I rang him a week before I was about to fly out. I was like, you sure I can come? Like, I've never met this guy in my life. He's like, yeah, come. I get there.
It's from the UK?
No, he's from India.
Okay.
One of the Gyani Singhs there. I get there, and I ring him whilst I'm in Pend. I go, I'm going to come like next week. He goes, हाँ ठीक है. He goes, मैं और पासे चल गया. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm thinking, Guru Sahib, like, I've taken a year of my life.
Yeah.
And like, it's all falling apart. I'm stressing. He goes, कोई नहीं, तू जोगीवाल चल जाओ, उत्थे महापुरखों ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਲਿਓ, ਤੂੰ ਉੱਥੇ ਸੰਧਿਆ ਕਰ ਲਈ. And he goes, he'd been sent to a different Gurdwara to do some Sudai of Dasam Granth.
Okay.
But the Gurdwara where he was, like, it wasn't done up much. It was a bit dingy and stuff, and it was just him. He goes, go to Jogiwal. I'll meet you there. If you like how Jogiwal is with the Singhs, I'll introduce you to other people. You stay there. Otherwise, come and live with me.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, crap, man, I don't know anyone. Like, I'm stressing out at this point. I meet him at Jogiwal, and I meet him. He's nice. And Jogiwal, the mahal is really nice. Like, there's loads of Singhs there. It's quite vibrant. Huh? Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll stay here. But I was still crapping myself because I don't know anyone. It's all scratch. And the one person I had a phone call with, they're not even here, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking, man, this is hot. This is okay.
Yeah.
What happens is he leaves, and he goes, I'll come and check on you in a week.
Yeah.
Comes and checks in on me in a week. How's it going? Yeah, I'm all right. He goes, you want to stay here? Okay, wicked. The next day, he goes out to do Katha. He gets picked up by the police for helping a Singh. We'll just call it that, right? Yeah. He gets picked up from police. And then, whilst I'm questioning all this, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, if I was with him,
you would have been
I'd have been picked up as well.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, Maharaj Rangana, like how things work out.
Exactly,
like,
because
it's not, and then I feel like, oh my God, this is mad. And then, like, even when things seem like they're going to plan, Guru Sahib is putting you where you need to be.
Exactly.
And I was like, even I told my mum and dad, they were like, you know, we'd have been fighting to get you out of jail.
Exactly.
And he was in jail for a long time.
And that's the worst thing about that, isn't it? But it's just Maharaj Rakhi Rakha.
Honestly, it's you never realise it in the midst of it.
No,
time and time again.
It's that Pankti Rade Wala Santi, jiske sir upar to Swami Sodo kaisa paave. It's that sort of thing, isn't it?
100%.
You know, just even if that is coming, like, if jide sir te bakshish hundi hai.
Hanji.
You never know. Oh, it's wicked, man. Right, completely off topic. You started an Instagram page with regards to book reviews.
Yeah.
I remember starting following that when you put that up. Actually, I think the first time I met you was when Singh started the Panth Prakash weekly meetings. That's the first time.
Yeah.
That's the first time. But then I remember you starting this page. Tell me how that book review page started and how do you pick your choice of books?
Sure. So on Instagram, I just started putting up books or like snippets from Katha or things I'd been reading or things I've seen on my personal Instagram.
Yeah.
And then I started getting, it's interesting because the school I'm at, I got Sangat there, even though they're non-Sikhs, because they're very inquisitive, interesting, lovely people. And I started talking to one person about philosophy. I started talking to one person about history. And then I just started finding interest in loads of other things, as well as Sikhi stuff. So I started reading a lot more. Because of the staff members that I was hanging around with and just generally the mahal of it. Like, I speak to kids about books, right? And they'd inspire me. So I started reading a lot more. And then holy, I started putting up things on my personal Instagram and I got a lot of amazing feedback and really like warm feedback. People saying, oh, this is great. Like, please do more. People asking me to start a book club, all this kind of stuff. And I thought, this is like, I'm just putting this out there to see if anyone's receptive to it. And just for my own kind of core channel, because when you do a review you have to go through the book again and you learn a bit more, so it's quite meditative in that sense. So the reception was really good and I thought, let's just do this. It was cluttering my personal page, so I thought I'd do it separate, and that's where it kind of stemmed from, really. With regards to the books, I was talking to you about this earlier. I think I had a bit of a dilemma and I was feeling a bit of guilt about reading non-Sikhi books because we have Seva and stuff. I was like, if I have an hour's time, I should spend it on Sikhi stuff. But I realised that sometimes Sikhi stuff can be quite, as bad as this sounds, dry and hard to digest. Yeah. And sometimes you have a block.
Of course you do.
Whether it's Gurbani, Steek, or whether it's Itihas, right?
But it's the same way, not just with his books. It's if you watch the same type of programs again and again on TV,
100%.
You go, I need to watch a comedy now. I need to watch a thriller now. And your mind needs something else.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah. Literally,
you can't binge on one thing, and that's what your mind does with Sikhi. You're like, no, I'm not taking this in now.
Yeah.
Because my mind has got to that point where it's like, I've had this.
Yeah.
I need something else.
So I think what I started doing, rather than just like hard itihas, I started looking at the jeevanies of specific people.
Yeah.
So I remember reading a book on Nawab Kapoor Singh.
Okay.
That was really good, by Baba Prem Singh, I think. It's a little short pamphlet. Yeah, that was really good. And then I started like reading Punjabi, and my Punjabi got better, and I started looking at like different courses, so different dictionaries, if you like.
Lexicon, is it lexicon? Yeah.
The one I use is Punjab University one. Yeah. That one's really good. And I started posting about these things, and people found it really helpful.
Yeah.
So I guess, first of all, I started trying to read a few more Punjabi books so I could learn Itihas better. And all the best books about Sikhi are in Punjabi anyways. And then I started looking into the lives of specific Gursikhs. And then that took me onto like other random things. So I'm just having a look now. Like I started looking at education books because I was reading about... I was training to become a teacher at that time.
Yeah.
So I started posting about them. And then a lot of teachers started getting involved and following my page. A lot of random things like politics and history I really enjoy. So history books. I read one about Putin, which was so interesting.
Yeah, no, I remember.
One of my favourite books. And I just put that up. There's one on John F. Kennedy. And then you have like Santa Singh Jivan and the Tibetan book of dying. We talked about. Yeah, I read that. And
that's a really good book, isn't it?
Yeah, really interesting book, and a lot of parallels with Sikhi actually.
I find it really interesting when he says you go to the dead, you get the book with Mara where he's got the black stones or white stones, and then he says, right, basically you're going to take birth again. And it was interesting because in that he says you get an image of lots of people basically conceiving, and you go, I'll go into that family, I'll go into that. But it's that sort of thing. It's you don't find many books that talk about what happens after this
explicitly as well, right? And they even talk about like I remember one thing is Wall Street on I forgot what they call it, the tunnel where you walk to our version of Dharmraj.
Tomorrow, yeah.
And they have this 40-day job where their people will still do because it can influence you.
Yeah.
That's like how we do a Sage part, right?
And that's what it is, the account part and the Sage part, because it can make that path quicker.
Yeah.
And that's where it talks about the difference when we look at the Gurur Puran and things like that, because they talk about the Karam Gandhi's taking this much time.
Hanji.
Guru Har Gobind Ji do that talk with, we can get there within seconds because we're not Karam Gandhis, but Rinpoche plays into that.
And another thing that really stirred me to learning about other cultures was I had a trip with school to Finland, like a Lapland trip. And I was reading about Wim Hof at the time, the guy who does all this crazy stuff with cold water and stuff, right? And how he conquers his senses and has got his body to reverse diseases. And I was like, this is crazy. So I read about Finland and I read this book. It's called The Finnish Way. And it talked about this lady who's living a cosmopolitan life in Canada. Like on paper had the best life, but she was just, popping pills left, right and centre. Yeah. Stress disorder, anxiety disorders, and she had a Finnish heritage and she went back and he just talked about her change in lifestyle. So I think whenever I go to a country now, I'll always try and read a book about it because I find it so more fulfilling when I get there and I can talk to the locals about it. So that's kind of one strand, and then just different parts of Itihas that I've really enjoyed. I love learning about Maharaj Ranjit Singh Ji's time. I love learning about the Missile period, obviously the Guru Sahib's times. I love learning about 1984. So I think how I choose a book now is whether it's Sikhi or non-Sikhi is whatever I find interesting. Yeah. And I've recently started reading a lot of self-help books. Yeah. So how to grow confidence, learning about principles by Ray Dalio, who's got one of the biggest investment firms in the world, Bridgewater. Amazing book. And I realized that you can learn a lot of things from people that are just great people.
Who've been through stuff.
Yeah. And it's just like, especially from a worldly sense as well, which is so important because we want to do the best we can in this world as well.
You've got to live in this world.
And also those principles that Ray Dalio talked about, I implement them when we're organising a camp or when I'm having to have a difficult conversation with another Sevadar. Do you know what I mean? So the way they manage teams is no difference to the way we should manage teams. If if you're organising a camp and you've got 40 people under your belt,
Yeah.
to organise that camp, that needs to be efficient, right? We're so used to this desi, do it
last
minute.
Yeah, that's it.
And this is one of the things, like, as our the organisation that's involved in, we're very big on planning for future generations, because what we've seen, unfortunately, is loads of great organisations, group of friends come together, smash it out for 10 years, get married, have kids, and then it's just like neither here nor there. So we want to make sure that the longevity is there. And I'm learning about this stuff from people that are billionaires or millionaires, and there's nothing wrong with that. And even they talk about how they're not attached to their time, or how important it is to have a family, and how important it is to look after the people you work for. So I'm really enjoying learning about those kind of things. Things like the School of Life, they're a great resource. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. They've got some great books. There's one book called The Great Thinkers, and they've just put like 50 great thinkers.
That's good.
Of the world.
I've got that one.
So that kind of stuff, I love it.
That's good, because that just summarises their lives and what they did and their achievements.
Yeah,
and, that's a good one. No, that's wicked. Because for me, I like that. I've read that, and obviously there's Pavanjit Kaur in Malaysia. She does similar things. She'll put up her books as well. So her name is Kitab.
I follow her.
Yeah, so she does that as well. So it's that sort of thing, and I like that, because I always think it's important to learn from those things.
100%.
And take, like you said, like they said to you, Joggiwal, you're gonna collect them. And it's the same with anything you learn from outside. So with the way I do this podcast, the way we present things, the way we put things on Gurmukh Child, whatever we do, we're learning that from other sources and how they've done their stuff, and going, what's the best way to approach this?
Hanji.
Because the Desi way is always, and it's just like, it will slip away, it will fall away. You don't want that. So it's about being efficient with your time. No, but for me, it's really interesting. For anybody who's not seen it, I'd like them to get on. I'm waiting for your next post now.
I'm just I'm currently reading Ranveer Singh's book, the Bashai book,
Bashai.
And also it's called Radical Candor. It's a book that just basically talks about how to manage teams by being truthful. Okay. So like being a radical in the sense of not sifting over your problems. If someone's work's crap, how do you tell them? But then it's not in the mean sense. It's with a person that you have such a great relationship with, where they expect you to tell them if it's crap. And also, if you tell them it's crap, they know it's not personal. So, and I think that's so important, because a lot of people hate those hard conversations, and I'm really enjoying that book at the moment.
Is that something that's going to help you with schooling wise?
There already does, miss. It already does. It helps me when I'm dealing with parents. It helps me when I'm dealing with parents at Sikhi class. It helps me when I'm doing my own Seva. Well, not my own Seva, I should have said that, but Seva I work with. Like you might get, but we're organising like camps and stuff now, so it's scaled up a little bit. And by no fault of anyone, naturally you incur these things where you have to make difficult decisions, but you want those decisions to be done in a loving way, but also without any emotion as best possible. That doesn't happen overnight. That only happens if you have an established relationship with someone where there's mutual respect and love both ways. So it's really, I'm really enjoying that book.
I'll have to have a look at that. We get taught the shit sandwich approach. Do you get taught that? So,
No.
So the shit sandwich approach is basically, you got to tell somebody that some of their work is shit. So you initially start with going, mate, that piece of work was brilliant, this. However, there's this. And then at the end go, but otherwise it was wicked. So basically, the two slices of bread are the good bits that you tell them. Start with the good bit, end with the good bit, tell them what the problem is in the middle. And that's a shit sandwich approach. So you got positive reinforcement at the start and at the back, but it's just like, it could be a bit better with that bit in the middle. But otherwise it was wicked. And it's that sort of thing, and that's how we get taught to, juvenile offenders, young youth, when youth YOS groups and things like that. That's right. Because if you tell them this is rubbish, it's not going to work, is it?
And you have to give the person an alternative as well, right?
Exactly.
I think also we when I was training to become a teacher, she said to me, one of my trainers, she said, make sure you have something in the bank with the kids. So if you ever need to tell a kid off, you've praised them so much before that they know Mr. Singh wants the best for me. And it's really interesting. At the school I'm at, I send emails home to parents. Say, Zayn has an amazing maths today. He had a really good lesson.
Yeah.
He spoke out. He helped his peers. I'm really proud of him.
Yeah.
Just like 2-3 lines.
But that massively helps, doesn't it?
And you know what? It's so funny because the parents see maths and their kid's name and they're crapping it. They're like, oh my God, he isn't his homework. And when they realize, they open it, they're like, we never get emails like this.
Yeah.
And it's important, like, just in life, like I've recently got married. Like I see this with our relationship as a husband and wife. Just letting people know they're doing well is so important.
Massively.
And we don't do it enough. And then when you tell them they're not doing well, it doesn't hit as hard.
No.
And it's a caring thing rather than he's just saying that, or he's always
It's just mean. It's just mean.
Yeah, it's just like it's just there's no ifs or buts about it. It just is what it is. And I'm saying this because I care about you.
But they realise that you're trying to better them.
Exactly.
That's it. Because they're like, well, he tells us when we're good, and he's only telling us we're bad because he doesn't want us to be in that way.
Yeah.
While the other thing where you're just giving negative all the time, they're just like, well, teacher just picks on me. Who
that
cares?
chips away at people.
Yeah, people just go, I'm going to rebel against that.
Yeah.
So that's happened before. No, that's a great thing. With regards to your books, right? Just you've talked about your training with basic Sikhi. Obviously, you said you did that when you came back. You've been to Joggiwal, you come back, and you've done that. What has that led on to? Because I've seen you do a talk. I've seen you, with sat with Sukhdeep Singh and Kamalpreet Singh. I've seen that one. I've seen you've done a couple of talks. You did one in 1984.
Hanji.
What has that led on to, the basic Sikhi?
So yeah, it's just kind of without any planning. It's just one thing leads to another, I guess.
Yeah.
Baki Guru Sadi Kirpa, wherever they want us to go, Hana.
Yeah.
So whilst we were in the Vidyalaya, we were taught how to source history.
Yeah.
Surya Prakash, Mant Prakash, all those kind of things, Hana.
Yeah.
How to read Steeks, how to put a PowerPoint together, how to do Q&As, things to keep an eye out for, how to interact with Sangat, and that was a really valuable experience.
Yeah.
And then off the back of that, naturally, we were put to go and do talks and do kathas, and then it all just kind of stemmed from there. And before that, I'd started a local Gurmat class, Somerset Gurdwara, which is local to me, just by Mr. Singh's in Handsworth. And that just literally started with, there's a Punjabi school, so I said to the committee, can I do 15 minutes of Sikhi after? They were like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
And we did a similar thing at Semitic Gurdwara. We used to do a homework club in the Gurdwara, and we used to do 10 minutes of Sikhi Sakhi before every lesson.
Yeah.
So I've been doing like little things, and then it just eventually grew to that. This is now a Gurmat school where we have Santya and Sikhi. Obviously, we do talks for basics of Sikhi and just like anyone, Jithe Seva Mildiya. And then I guess it translated into more kind of formal katha, English katha, Hukamnama katha. Eventually, you just kind of get put in positions, and I'm lucky enough to have people around me. Baljeet Singh ji, Sukhdeep Singh ji, one of my ustads, both my ustads, Gyani Baldeep Singh, Gyani Jeevanpal Singh, people that can direct you and lead you, so it's a bit of learning on the job for me. It was, which has its benefits and its downfalls. And there's one thing led to another. Really, it's probably the best way of mentioning it.
Are you still active within your Seva?
Guru Kirpa Hanji, yeah.
That's cool. And then you said obviously you went on to do your work within the Sikh camps as well.
Yeah.
What role do you play, as well as, I know you said about organising it and things like that. Do you have an active role within the daily things that take place within the camps, talks? What is it that you...
So I think initially I was given a group leader.
Yeah.
So I'd group lead normally the younger students. I normally get put with like the 16-year-olds, which I quite enjoy, to be honest. And then a holy like Hukamnama Katha at a few camps, and then like talks and stuff. So it's just gradually built up, really, wherever the Seva is needed. And then obviously now logistically, we organised like kids camps under the banner Devanhar, which is a local organisation in Birmingham. We have 3 Gurmat camps every year with the aim of recruiting those kids to come to weekly classes.
Okay.
But then some kids just, any ways away for us, if they come and enjoy a week at the Gurdwara and they learn about Sikhi, that might sprout in 20 years. We don't care.
Exactly.
And then with Singh's Camp, which is a new initiative, we had the first one last year.
Yeah, because there's a God's Camp. So I saw this happen last year. I didn't know until I saw the pictures. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah, so last year we did it Gupt, one because of COVID, and we kept it in-house. So it was only like people we knew. Because it was a dry run as well, we wanted to make sure like we just get our bearings. So 100 Singhs came to that, and the response was amazing. Like we've been looking at Toronto Singhs Camp for a long time. I went, that looks sick, man. No disrespect to the BB, but sometimes mahal Singh da bakra hunda na. And we did it, and it was amazing. We really, really enjoyed it. It was just nice having just things there and having our own space. And the cause, so in the same Seva circle, they organised a cause on which happened in April for the first year, and the response from that was terrific as well. So these are annual events that are going to keep happening in addition to all the other Sikhi camps. But we found there's a need for just residential single-sex camps because there's specific things and different ways of approaching those things. So in terms of organising the logistics, that's opened up a whole different kettle of fish. And just planning the camp, the day-to-day, what kind of talks, what are the themes, that's been really interesting as well.
That's good. Do you set the talks based on whatever good problems and things are coming
up? Sometimes. With the Sings camp,
obviously that's different because you're trying to talk about Kamalpreet, things like that, grooming, whatever. I'm guessing topics are going to afflict males.
And I guess we always think about the reason we started this whole Sings camp thing was because we thought, well, one, we're lucky enough to be in a place where we have a lot of sangat with great Sings around us, but a lot of people don't. So first of all, to create that network, but secondly, to address things that we think that should be addressed. So things like fitness. A lot, we as a Pant are not fit, and we love reciting Itihas from Pant Prakash, where Singhs would run barefoot for 12 miles. I was at a boss camp 3 years ago, and once Guru Sahib Sawari went, there's a long pathway, and one of the things said, let's do a halla back to the Darbar. Honestly, it could have been 500 meters. By the time we got there, I just think the Singhs all the way back, they're about to puke up. And there was two of us that sprinted the whole way. And we looked back, and I was like, I felt sad. I felt sad inside, honestly. I was like, we love saying we're a martial race, and I'm not a crazy fanatic by anything, but I can run if I need to. I could probably handle my body weight if I need to. But I think it's just we're so far from where we need to be, and people just think it's okay to just. Not in a bad way, but just read Bart and read books all day. Obviously, you can become mukt by doing that. I'm not saying that.
No, but there's a whole reason we're a Sant Sipahi and not just a Sant.
100%. So things like fitness and getting people comfortable with like just wrestling and all that kind of. No one likes, not in a weird way, touching each other nowadays. A lot of people just like their own space, but that's not how Sikhi is. Becoming comfortable with those things, and also like trying to instill the gun of Bharatan Singhs. So this year we've got talks about a lot of Bharatan Singhs and their Jeevanis and how they went about their own conflicts, and just in terms of their own bhakti, but also like how rago they were, how they didn't take no nonsense, right?
Don't take shit.
They basically taking shit, right? And how that translates into our own lives. So that's the overall purpose of Singh's camp. The talks then we have can kind of supplement that in every way, shape or form. So this year we've got a talk by Ranveer Singh talking about Badshahi and how the Panth structured itself. We've got hopefully Gani Sukraj Singh coming to talk about life after death, all these kind of interesting things. Right? We've got Jasdeep Singh talking about the missile period. So just all those kind of things.
And a chance to get Shamsher Singh to show the film up there.
So we've got Ranveer Singh who's coming on behalf of NSYF, and we don't have time unfortunately to show the whole film because it's 3 hours. But what we're going to do is try to play a few snippets and make sure everyone's aware of it.
There are some really good bits. Have you seen it?
Yeah, we saw it on Sunday. It was amazing. It was amazing, and they smashed it. And it wasn't done desi.
No, it's done. It's solid. We that was our conversation on the way up. It was just like,
that's why it took 6 years, right? And all that money.
It was just amazing.
Props.
But it was worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
Worth it.
100%.
Every penny towards that was worth it.
It was amazing.
So those sorts of things are massive. That's great. So Singh's camp. Where does Singh's camp run?
Where or when?
Yeah, where?
So we've been just using random campsites.
Okay.
It's very hard with campsites nowadays to find a site that doesn't have a bar on site or doesn't have regular alcohol on site. So it's been quite hard. With Guru Sahib's Kirpal, we found a site for this year in Wales and Scotland. It's a bit of a mission. But next year we found there's a site a few things have bought in Wales. So
where the S2I.
I don't think S2I did it this year, but I think they're still expanding it. It's quite small capacity. So we got an agreement with them going forward. That's what the cause camp was this year. Where they're going to make a darbar and stuff. So it's amazing uprala they've done. Because us S2I basics boss, we want the same panga every year. Finding a place big enough that doesn't have alcohol. But then we're paying them silly money as well. So why not just put it back into the pond?
Well, that's one of the big things. There's a show by Killer Mike on Netflix where he's like, how do you keep the money within your own community?
100%.
And he's like, the big problem we have is, he goes, a dollar within the black community only stays in the black community for over 2 hands, and then it goes back into the white community.
Wow, yeah.
And then he goes into the white community, are able to maintain. Because the Asian community are able to contain for like six or 7, 8 hands.
Generations.
They could go no, because they could go like that. The produce is created by that person, then it goes to the wholesaler. He's Asian. Then it goes to here. Then it goes to here. And they're able to show that. And he's like, the money stays within their own grounds. They've produced everything.
Exactly.
And that's what we should be doing. So it's where you look at where's our food coming from, who's our distribution, who's bringing this. Keep the money within your own circles.
Yeah, and
because at the moment we're giving it back into white circles, black circles, Chinese circles, any other circles.
Yeah.
But it's not staying within our own community to invest in our own community.
And that's a really important point. I think that's something we try and do when we're buying things. Like, we're looking to get a marquee now.
Yeah.
And we're like, we can buy a marquee for $2,500, or we can rent it for £1,000.
Yeah.
Let's buy it and then rent it out to our own sangat that need it, and then that will be Seva for our organisation.
Well, that's what somebody else said to me. He's like, look, man. He goes, how many of us as Sikhs, Punjabis, we celebrate birthdays like everybody else does? He's like, let's buy 3 bouncy castles.
Yeah, 100%.
He's like, the money stays within our own community. Anything we get extra goes to other functions, communities, book camps. And he's just like, why are we not thinking outside the box?
100%.
So, no, that's great. Any other institutions you're working with? You've mentioned quite a lot with Devon Hard, Boss. Obviously, you're doing camps with other people. You're doing stuff with schools. Have you got any time left for anything else?
Even that, like, Guru Sahib school style, man. Like, my school is great. Like, we get longer holidays, so
yeah.
Guru Sahib school. I guess the other main thing is the Gurdwara. So,
is that the Ramgir Gurdwara in some sense?
No, it's just Singh Sabha Gurdwara. It's just the standard Sangat one.
Yeah.
I'm a committee member there, so I guess my role is like head of education, if you want to call it that. And then we have a Punjabi school, a Santhya class, and a Gurmat class. So that's another important part of my life as well.
It's interesting. You're 26 years old in a Gurdwara committee.
Yeah.
Because I was having this conversation we were speaking to Mandeep Singh. She's a politician in Leicester, and we were just talking about how, you know, the generation above us still go, no, I'm 70 years old, but I want to be in the committee. And some of them really, really difficult to get them to let go.
Yeah.
And the problem is they have never looked at preparing the next generation to go, they need to take these roles.
Yeah.
How are you finding that at your age, being in a committee?
To be honest, like my experience of a committee is not representative of how most people find it. Again, I think I'm quite a lucky person generally.
Yeah.
Like, our committee is very small, like 4 people.
Yeah.
So there's no crazy bungay.
That's good.
The people in charge are very happy and they're very supportive of all this work we do.
Yeah.
There are a few hiccups at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then for me, I think as a young person coming in, trying to revolutionize everything at once, you realize that they're just people, you know? And they have misconceptions. So one of the misconceptions they thought is we're trying to take over. Like, one of the committee members,
that's the big thing.
He actually shouted at me saying, I know what you're trying to do. I know you're trying to get basics of Sikhi in here and take over. No, I'm just trying to get some katha happening, right?
Exactly.
But then when you bring it down and you explain to them and they explain to you, you have a frank conversation. You're like, all right, we're I don't care about being put on.
Yeah.
If it comes, I'll do it, 100%. Yeah. But we're here for the same reason. And when you treat people like people,
exactly,
and you show them love, and you have to do other things as well, like, you have to come on Diwali, you have to come on New Year's, you have to do a Sukhmani Sahib, you have to wash the Pandey. You can't just turn up and just do things when you want, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They see,
come on a Sunday and that's about it.
Yeah, they think like, Naujawan chole pa ke vadiya karpana pa ke aunde kuch kar deni, innit? When you see like there's a group of you cleaning the langar hall, we try and do a monthly cleanup at the Gurdwara, and they realize, these are actually here for the long run and they respect you a lot. So generally it's been very supportive. There's no, funnily enough, there's 0 to none committee politics.
Good.
And I just keep myself to myself, like where I'm needed, like in terms of administrative things. We've got a building work going on now, committee, building work, this one, the ball, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if I'm needed, like, to get the fire safety certificates done, because the elders don't really know what to do, I'll do that stuff.
Yeah.
If I need to write a recommendation on a letterhead to someone, I'll do that stuff.
Yeah.
So admin tasks I'll do, and then we just focus on the Gurmat side of things, the education side of things, and they're happy. And I'd highly recommend it to anyone if you can, there comes a point, I do agree, where it gets toxic, and depending on the situation, and if you find that you can't help because you're so overwhelmed, then you need to take a step back. Then I think that happens in a lot of cases. But otherwise, there will be struggles, there will be pushes. I had it initially when we got in.
Yeah.
But when you see the reach that you have and the potential you can do once you're in, it's huge. It's so huge. I think if we all spent our time as a generation working on our Gurdwara, like we wouldn't need camps.
Yeah, exactly. Because
we
the
wouldn't need
institution would be
we
there
didn't
to
need to
do all
go
those
outside,
things. Yeah.
Unfortunately, and rightly so, we need to do things because we need our own space.
Yeah.
But if we made Gurdwara our spaces, like if you look at Semitic Gurdwara now, they're doing amazing things.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of elderly, but a lot of youth there.
Yeah.
Like Jatinder Singh, he's only like 40
Yeah,
something.
no, he's doing really good.
The stuff they're doing is amazing.
Yeah.
And that shows what you can do. Because whether we like it or not, Gurdwara have power.
Of course
they have power over Sangat. With Sangat rather. They have power because of the money. And that can fund a lot of things. Like Gurdwara earn serious money.
They have power within the community and politics. You can influence your politicians to do things. You can do all sorts.
Like, is it what's the Singh's name who made the documentary of Shamsher Singh in Canada?
I don't know.
His name's Harinder Singh or Moharinder Singh.
Oh, Harinder Singh. And all right, the research.
No, not Harinder Singh. Sorry, he's one of the pradhans of the Gurdwara committee.
Oh, for the Smish.
Maninder Singh.
Yeah, something.
Look at him, right?
Yeah.
He's like the head of the council, and look at the things he's probably using those resources with.
Yeah.
And he's a Pontic, like young person, if you want.
Yeah.
So he shows it can be done, and there's a need for it because the Buri aren't going to be here forever.
No, I think it needs to be done. I see the way that the central mosques within Leicester and things like that have a massive influence in the way that policing goes on.
Okay.
So they'll go to the police and right, we live in this destitute area where drugs are going on. We have a religious society here where elderly come every day and this and that. Where's our policing around here? All right, we've got so much. And they'll report. They'll go, right, there's drugs going on here, drugs going on here, drugs going on here. And then at the end of the year, they'll have the annual meeting, neighbourhood meetings, and they'll go, right, police, we've reported this many things. These are still continuing.
Wow.
What are you doing? Bring the PCC in. Bring the head of the police in, police crime commissioner in, and talk to him and go, well, we want an undercover job doing here. Or we want something doing here. We want some enforcement doing
here.
Fair
play to
But that is what we as Gurdwara could have the power to do.
Yeah.
Not because it's good having the boundaries within a Gurdwara clean.
Yeah.
But you'd want everything around it. I don't want street drinkers outside. I don't want them pissing up against a Gurdwara. I don't want this happening. Don't want that happening. We should be doing that sort of thing. And influencing local, whether it's not, I wouldn't say geopolitics, but the politics within the area, the council, and the policing. Yeah. We should be able to influence that. I want more CCTV cameras in the area. I want more greenery in the area. I want this. I want it to be a safe space for other people. And, that sort of thing. I think if we have yourself and generations like that who are coming through in the Gurdwara and they realise the power that they can have
100%
to influence the community and help our community.
Yeah.
Why not? Because I see the mosques doing it. They're clever.
And they smash it. And fair play to them. Yeah. And I think it's really important you mentioned a point, like we're unfortunately trying to get to grips so we can use Gurdwara for ourselves.
Yeah.
But hopefully a time comes where Gurdwara are being enjoyed as they should, but then also we start impacting people around us, because Gurdwara aren't here just for our survival. No. We're here to do the adar of other people as well, where we can look after people that are underprivileged or whatever that might be.
We saw it during COVID when people needed food. Yeah. It was coming from Lungers.
Yeah.
It was coming from Lungers. That sort of thing, but they should be a safe space for, other communities to go, you've got a community centre, can we do a talk there?
Yeah, exactly.
Can we do a talk there about diversity or an interfaith thing or do whatever, and then other people are being brought in. But like I said, I've seen that, and I've seen like the mosques within Leicester, and this is what I was talking to Manchester about. I was like, they've been able to influence individuals, put them into local politics.
Yeah.
They've gone into local politics and gone, right, why is it so costly for a burial? So they've reduced the cost of a burial, but the cost of a cremation's gone up.
Oh, wow.
And they've gone, and that's what I was saying. I was like, well, we need people in our politics
going, crazy.
Why is our cremations costing 3 times as much as a burial, where they're going to have ground for life, and we're having a burial for a couple of a cremation for a couple of hours?
It's not going to take up any space.
And it's like the Muslim politicians are like, yeah, but it doesn't affect us. So we're just talking about what affects us, which is a burial. If cremation goes up, that's for you lot to talk about.
Fair play to
and that's what I mean. So local Gurdwaras can have those sorts of influences, and it depends on getting the right sort of people in. But what you need is people like yourselves who are in it for the long run and looking at the bigger picture, whether it's the youth of tomorrow, organising the leaders of tomorrow, not just within the Gurdwaras but within the worldly positions as well. And then it's that we're the Gurdwara, we pay our taxes, you're our local police, what do you do for us?
Yeah.
You're our local councilman, what do you do for us? You come every time you want to get elected and want to talk here on electing.
Give us a
but what have you done for the last 4 years?
Make some prasad.
Yeah, first tell me what you've done for 4 years. I'll hold you accountable to that.
Yeah. If
you've actually done something for us, yes, you've got a platform to talk. If you haven't, why are you here?
Yeah.
Because I won't come to your house and tell you, go and buy Qurban and take Umrah, and you're like, mate, you're in my house, I drink every week, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, if you've done nothing for us, why come talk? So I think it's really interesting. I think it's really crucial to have people in at that level.
It really is. Yeah. I know it's not glamorous. And, you know, quite often we just scaremonger amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, some places it is bad.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times they want the best for the Gurdwara as well. Yeah. They're not bad people.
No. I don't say that at all.
If you make... Okay, there are some bad people that have ulterior motives, yeah? And unfortunately, they're the only ones you ever hear about, because bad news travels faster than good news, right?
Of course it is.
But if you get involved in it, you realise the only reason they're there is because they have blame for Guru Sahib.
Yeah.
They want to make an effort, and they're doing what they can.
Yeah.
That might have limitations.
Yeah.
But then we won't be able to do certain things they can. So
no, I agree.
We're all different parts of the jigsaw, right?
Yeah. No, it's wicked thing. Right. With regards to what you talked about today, mate, I just want to say that's absolutely brilliant. I didn't realise half of the stuff you did until now. With regards to anybody who's looking into going into professional teaching or wants help with camps and things like that, that's the whole reason of these podcasts. It's to bring a networking, basically, for people to contact. Now, I know that's a bit of ambushing, but
sure.
Can you give us some of your social media profiles or contacts? So if somebody does listen to this, goes, well, I want to start this in my school.
Yeah.
Or I want to know how you've done this, or how with the camps or whatever.
Hanji.
Or just an interest in your books, going, well, I want to know why you read this, or can you have a look at this, or give you some options. Can you give us some details of your social media accounts, please?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to contact me, you can contact me on my book review account. It's called Mandeep Singh Book Reviews. It's all together.
And that's on Instagram, isn't it?
Instagram, yeah. That's probably the best way to contact me.
Yep.
I kind of keep my private one private.
Yeah, which is fine.
So yeah, anything, and there has been a request, and I've mentioned it a few times, and I hope to get around to it in summer. One of my dreams is to make a Gurmat school network, where we have people that are either already involved with or would like to start and commence a Gurmat school in their locality.
Okay.
And it's just basically a sharing of resources, and that could look like schemes of work. That could just be having a conversation with someone, sharing tips, do's and don'ts that from I learned in my past life, in this life rather. I've learned in my past, and other people have learned their experiences, and then also even offering training to a certain extent, going to someone, giving like a very shallow audit and saying, right, this is what you could do. This is working great. This is what we advise. So just offering that help really, and whatever experience we have, the little bit that we have, just offering it out. I know a few people from abroad, like a camp, something from Denmark was like, can you come over and show us how to set things up?
Yeah.
So hopefully Maraj get by, and if there's the want from it from the Sangat, I'm going to try work on that in summer.
That's an interesting one. There's a guy called Umbar Singh from Huddersfield.
Okay.
And I've had the same conversation with him about a year ago now, and he said we should have a national Sikh collective with regards to these things.
Yeah.
Where everybody who does a Sikh camp, all their PowerPoints presentations are going to one spot.
100%.
And there is a council per year where we talk, you bring a representative from one Jatha, another, whatever you want. You have a local one, a regional one, and a national one. So you have, and then you share what you've got, and 100%. Then all the resources are in one place. So if somebody goes, I want a Sikhi camp, they go on 2018, 2017, 2016. Every month what there was, which city it was, and they could go, I'll download that PowerPoint, that one, and I'll pick bits out, and I can put one together. The resources are already there.
Yeah.
Everything's footnoted for where the sources are.
100%.
And that would be amazing.
It'll take a little bit more time to do when you make it, but then it's there for life, right?
Exactly.
I think those kind of, we basically need... We need like an I don't want to say education council because there is the Sikh Education Council. Yeah. But I guess we need something a bit more, without I know Harinder Singh does amazing stuff, but I'm not sure. I know he's mainly based in London, Nojawani, and I know he's got the term Sikh Education Council, but in essence, we need something where every organisation that's involved in Prachar gets together at an AGM once a year.
Exactly.
Talks about what have people been doing, what's working.
Yeah.
Because in essence, we always want to get people into Sikhi, right?
Yeah.
We want to help facilitate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, however that is, maybe this could be the start of it. Who knows?
Hopefully.
But we've got a lot of great minds in the Bant.
Yes, and that's it.
So we should learn from each other.
And that's the thing. While we've got the resources now to do so,
why
not? No, that's great, Singh. The last thing I always ask anybody, have you got any questions for us about this podcast or anything else?
No, just again, I know myself, my singer, we've been listening to the podcast, and we've really loved it. So a massive thank you for taking the time out and just doing the Seva, because it's nice, as we mentioned earlier, it's nice learning about people and learning from people. Yeah. So I've learned a lot from yourself and the other people on the podcasts. So yeah, just a massive thank you, really.
No,
really appreciate it.
For us, it's a case of there's so many people doing good stuff out there, and we focus on the institutions and not the people.
Hanji.
And I'd like to focus on some of the people, because everybody shows they're flawed, everybody shows they've got issues. They've been through stuff, but it's like I said, you get a piece of carbon, you put enough pressure to it, look what can come out, a diamond.
Get a diamond.
And I say, well, with regards to today's talk for the Flawed, Foolish and Fantastic podcast, I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us around. Thank you for the food. I'm ready to fall asleep. That's brilliant. But no, just thank you for your hospitality and just thank you for sharing with us. And I'm hoping this inspires other people to bug you more than us.
No, please do. I'll do whatever I can.
No, that's fine. With regards to that thing, I'm going to close out with Fateh. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.